This is our AccuQuilt Club for the log cabin. Who brought show and tell? Okay. Who want? Go ahead. Okay.
Oh my
You even quilted this?
Oh yeah, I think.
This is my. Oh, that's that one.
Wow.
Beautiful. Wow.
Okay. This is one. It's a king size, so it's kind of big, but you can see it's like a half or 3/4 log cabin.
That's really
Oh, that's beautiful.
It puts them together.
wow.
Wow.
And you did the piano keys on the side?
Just to kind of set it off with all the straps.
Wow,
That was
that's
the
a big
hardest
quilt.
part of the quilt. Because I miscounted how many I needed, so I was having to take things apart and to get enough.
Beautiful.
When I cut these side things, I had to take them apart to have enough of the piano keys. And then this is the other one. And
Oh, very pretty.
this is also a log cabin.
And this is a huge one.
It's king also, yeah.
It looks like a
It's,
fish.
it's butterflies.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
How cute.
And it's just all different colors. Very pretty.
You've
Super,
been busy.
super quick. Well, this was one weekend. First
Oh.
weekend in
I
October.
try to be nosy.
I had them
all the
cut
time.
out,
Oh, okay.
and then I sat down 2 days and sewed them up.
did you do the quilting then?
No, I sent it out.
You didn't bring it here, huh?
No, because you guys were already starting to back up, and
Oh.
so
Well, we're not going to anymore because we have a new rock star back there that's going to be helping us out. So.
Yeah, we'll be
No
quilting
pressure.
5 days a week now.
I know. That'll
these
be
are
nice.
going to be Christmas presents.
Nice. Somebody is getting lucky with those.
No kidding.
Oh my gosh, hold it up.
Oh,
Wow.
Did you hand stitch those?
Is it twilling?
Yeah, twilling.
Yeah.
Wow. Fold it the way you want it.
I don't care, just sort of fit in the bag. Get it out of here.
Oh, we got them both in there.
Beautiful.
Was a challenge quilt at the guild that was the stars was a challenge. This and this and that one and that one. We had 10 stars.
Yeah, we're probably.
Well, that's not big enough to do anything. So I just started adding blocks to it.
Thank you.
There it is.
Nikki, hold yours up again.
There you go.
Mine?
Yeah, how many has pins on it?
It just needs some little repairs on those.
Oh,
Big Mo wasn't happy with the stitch pattern.
that's pretty.
Who was
Turned
it?
out really
Big Mo, that's what I lovingly call
That's what
the
you call it.
machine in the back.
And then here's the back.
You don't get out of the way in time, it'll run.
I love that bag.
I didn't see it in my house.
Muriel.
That turned out really pretty.
Who's next?
Turned out really
I'll show mine real quick and I'm gonna head into the back.
Okay.
I'm not finished with mine,
Oh,
but I had to do mine different because I fussy cut, so the whole point in this class was AccuQuilt, go fast. No, not me. I had to pick a pattern, I had to pick a fabric that had to be fussy cut. And then because it wasn't with the fabric, it stretched.
Oh.
Does that make sense? So I had to offset it, otherwise I ended up with a bow out. So mine is, hey, here's what not to do.
but it looks good.
And I haven't finished it yet.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, I think it'll be really pretty, but I haven't done the borders or anything yet. I don't want to show
Did
everybody
you see how different it looks when you
what
Oh,
happens
yeah.
when you fussy cut it.
flap? Yeah.
Don't do with the fabric and, yeah, all those things.
Yeah, right.
I have one more.
Are you gonna use that fabric to back it?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah, because I still got plenty.
Oh, yeah.
You might have seen this on the show,
Oh, yeah, I did, yeah.
but this was all.
Go
That's
higher.
cute.
Go ahead. There you go. Oh, yeah, because you can't see the trees.
Uh-huh.
and added the bling. I think the bling helps. But I used the Carefree Alphabet and the Holiday Medley and whatever one the tree is in. I can't remember.
Circle die.
And the circle die,
Yeah, and the circle die. And then this is our fern fabric, and this was the grunge. And then I thought we have this fabric with the reindeer names, so it was a fun project. And of course, this fabric, we have the whole line of this. So anyway, that was
Nice.
fun. But you know, this only took like maybe 30 minutes to cut and fuse on. It didn't take long at all.
So cute.
So anyway, it's fun. There's just so much fun with quilts.
And you embellished it with the little crystals
The
that we saw
Swarovski
here.
crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see the.
Well, this is mine.
Oh, Sharon, that was
Wow.
lovely.
Beautiful.
That came out
Wow.
nice.
It did.
Love the fabrics.
I love the border.
Ooh, that is cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a grunge, and I kind of there's a lot of red in it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was thinking, you know, it might be cool to make it with the green checkerboard instead of red.
But from here, if you stand back and look at it, those look like Christmas trees.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, they
You could put a
did.
little bling on the tops of them, make them sparkle.
Make them sparkle.
Yep.
So
Put Swarovski crystals, they'll look like Christmas trees.
yeah,
Very pretty.
I'll have to do that. Or get it quilted. And I have enough fabric, I can probably make 2 more. You know, it's like, because I bought the fabric before I knew how much yardage. I just got 3 yards of all of it, you know, and so.
I do that too. If I find a fabric I love, I'll get 3 yards because I know it works for the size quilts that I make.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
See her.
I'm going to preface my show and tell by saying I'm very disappointed it didn't have this shirt out.
I like the colors. Oh, I didn't know you
Yeah,
were
but
supposed to bring
see
a
how
show
the
and tell.
multicolor one
Wow.
just kind of
Yeah.
That's
fades
gorgeous.
out.
But it still looks good. You,
That's
the
very pretty.
checkerboard is still very dramatic.
It is.
That's
Love
very,
it.
very pretty.
I'm thinking I should have switched the multicolor fabric and the teal. I think I would have probably liked that better.
Possibly, yeah.
Is it petites?
It looks
Yeah, it's all petite.
Came out nice.
Thank you.
That's my favorite.
Did you see?
It's beautiful.
Very
And
pretty.
then I have this other quilt that when my daughter was in college, her sorority had a auction for fundraising. And so I bought this kind of fabric and I made a quilt this size. And then I had enough to do 2 more quilts this size.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and I quilted
Very
this
fun.
on my Bernina.
Ooh,
Very fun.
Came out great.
I usually quilt more densely than this, but I wanted to get it done.
looks
She
like
says
it's
for a
plenty
fundraiser?
dense enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's the back?
Oh, it's stars. My husband found me a bolt of it at an estate sale.
Very cute fabric.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay.
Super cool.
I have one on my phone, but.
The girls can testify to it.
Next one.
Yeah, I finished my Beyond the Block, or whatever it was, the last one that we did. I got all the bindings sewn on and everything. But it was so heavy, and this bag was heavy, I decided I'll bring it next week, or next month.
Okay, so we're going to talk about making log cabins, not with the log cabin die, but with the strip dies. So this one is a combination of the 1.5 inch strip die and the 1 inch strip die, and that's what gives this curvy log cabin look. So kind of higher. And so, I'm like a floating head here. So this is just a different layout for the log cabin. So log cabins are so versatile, and how you lay them out. That's why I'm only giving you a pattern for a block. because you can go, I had Pinterest up, but the computer rebooted. You can go onto Pinterest and find all kinds of patterns. This is, I can't think of the name of this one, but it's basically a star. This one was done with a 1-inch strip die, so it gives you 1/2-inch logs. And then this one is the 1.5-inch strip die. And this is a 12-inch block. This is what your pattern is for. It will make this block. So this is just a layout. So this has really, there's so many ways to lay out a log cabin. There's one hanging up there. That one's courthouse steps. So lots and lots of options for log cabins. So I only brought in some of my fabric. This is my part of my stash for when I make a quilt and I buy that 3 yards and I have all of this left over, and it's not really enough to make something with unless, you know, I'm doing an applique quilt and I need like this really cool pink or something like that. And so I just fold it up, and the way I fold my fabric is I use the 8.5-inch ruler and just wind it around that and then just fold it in half. It gives me enough to actually just see what the fabric looks like.
My scrap pile does not.
No, my scrap pile.
That's a picture in itself.
So I went through and picked out lights, and then I picked out fabrics that I'm not going to use in something else. So I have a saying, I know you've heard me say it before, if you don't like the fabric, you haven't cut it small enough yet. Like this. This buy it in the first place. 2 glasses of wine before you went shopping.
Oh, there you go.
Or the 5th shop in the shop hop, right?
Really good salespeople were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're gonna love this." Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And some of it's just older fabrics that I have laying around. So let's talk about the pattern for a minute. So front and back. This is reversible. I have it lined out here, darks and lights. You can reverse the lights and darks. So if you look at the pattern up here, this first log is a light. The outermost log is a light colored fabric. You can switch that for dark. And that's what I'm going to do because I have more darks than I do lights. So I'm just switching. So it doesn't matter.
The center one's lights.
So the center one on a log cabin is usually red. Doesn't have to be. Traditionally, it's red for the chimney. So once you pick out your number of lights and your number of darks, you need to put them in order that you want to see them in your block. And I was just throwing these out here. They're okay. I think this I'll use, since I'm really not loving it, but I think this will be my center square. I do really like this teal, so I think it'll make a great outer square. So then I just want to pick colors that will have a lot of contrast because I've got these 2 really busy prints. I don't really want those next to each other. So I think I'm going to slide this gold here next to the blue. And then we can put this black one here. And then maybe this fuchsia next to the green, next to the red. Slide that one in there. And this one's kind of busy too, so I'm going to separate it and maybe put it right there. And so that's basically what the log is going to look like, the cabin. So from the pattern, we're going to start with the darks because I'm switching. Since I like the teal the most, I want it to be the biggest log. So I'm just going to open this up. And ideally you would press this, but this is not bad. I do have a little bit of edge here. So your first log is going to be 12.5 inches. There is a 12.5 inch ruler over here. This is 12, yeah. And I'm just going to fold this in half this way. Smooth it out a little bit, just a little, doesn't have to be a lot. And then I just want to make sure I'm not getting, cutting myself off here. So you're going to cut with the fabric 12.5 inches.
Are you going to do that with each one of the colors you have there?
So you're going to go through the pattern. So your first log is 12.5 inches. I'm switching the lights and darks. So my second log is going to be 11.5 inches, and so on and so forth. Once you have your piece cut to your width of fabric, you're just going to fan fold it over your 1.5 inch strip die. When I'm doing this, I like to start from the folded edge up here because I don't want to end up with my salvage in the block. And we can do 6 layers. I think there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5. And I'm just making sure I can get all of that in there. And as you can see, I've done several log cabins this way. I like this method better than the log cabin die because I can make my blocks really scrappy. Okay. And all of that's trash, all of that's trash. And so then I've got 6, 12, 18, 24, 32 pieces out of that one. So set that aside and then just do the next one. So you can alternate or you can go through. I've got them all laid out. So ideally you just cut all your fabric with the fabric. And so the nice thing about these, who's ever made a log cabin with a jelly roll? It stretches, right? These are on the straight grain. These are not going to stretch when you're piecing it together. Makes a huge difference when you're piecing your log cabin, especially when you're doing one like with 1/2 inch logs. So this is the 1 inch strip die. So when you're sewing these, key, very, very key, 2 things. Who knows what I'm going to say? Presser foot pressure.
Well, and can you tell us again, you lay the fabric on the cutter with the fold up the top?
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay.
let me finish this. Presser foot pressure and seam allowance. You've got to get that 1/4 inch seam allowance with this. If you're off, your blocks are going to be off on their sizes.
My ride's here.
They can hang out for a minute.
You can hang out with the girls.
So I'm not going to cut all of these.
But the next one you cut would be 11.5 inches. Put the fold there and blindfold it. And I can see where it goes past that.
Yeah. So if I went through and then just cut all of my fabric. And I like it when I get down into the smaller ones. So if you have, say, the Quilter Select rulers, right? So nothing says you have to make a 12-inch block, right? So if you have, I think this is the 8.5. You have the 8.5-inch ruler, right? Start at 8.5 and make an 8.5-inch block. This works. This pattern you can make just about any log cabin you want. So if you were to start at the 8.5, you would only need in one log, one color. So if you were doing your lights on the outside, darks on the inside, you would just need one 8.5, and then the rest of the pattern follows through. So when you get to these, this is really easy. You just set your ruler down and measure and cut, right? When you're doing the larger sizes, like the 11.5, and this is pretty straight, so I'm just going to cut it right there on the edge. So like a 1/16 of an inch, I can fudge that.
Well, and I have a stripology, and so that, and it goes up to 20 inches.
Yep.
So.
Or the Martelli tables, those would be perfect for this too. Set that aside. So there's my next one. 11.5. This one's 10.5. Once you know the pattern, you don't even have to go back and look at it. You just know, okay, my next log is going to be 10.5 inches.
So can we ask questions while you're going on?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, fine. So, then what do you do to when you've got all of these strips cut out?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not going to get it all done in one day.
The cutting?
No.
The sewing. Yep.
Right. So how do you lay these out so you know that you're going to grab from the right area, the right strip?
Okay, so there's a tool that we have. Yep, there it is. These are block boards.
Oh, good.
And or you can use like your wool cutting mat. You just stack these out, right? And so when I laid these out, I did just by size, by color, by darks, and then I had another row of lights. Once you start with the pattern, you're going to sew your red center or whatever your center is going to be to a light, and then your next piece is going to be on this pattern is going to be that light one.
The one on
So
next to the two. Okay.
right. So you're going to pick up all of your 1.5 inch pieces and sew them all together. Just chain piece them together, right? Take them, press them, and then you're going to sew the 1.5 inch piece to it. And it goes in a circle, kind of like a spiral. You're always sewing that next row on.
I always lose track.
Yeah. So, I think I ordered them. Somebody just came out with a new, it's like a little letter, and it has a little pinhole that you can actually pin the letters to your stack of pieces.
I've got pins that have numbers on them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So you
I
could
do a
just,
little conversion thing.
hi Leela, you could just take
Here.
like a piece of Post-it, cut it up, write the letters for your pieces on there, and then just pin that to that pile. So
I go to like JoanSews or someplace and buy stickers for little alphabet stickers and put them on the pieces.
yeah, so it's really not as difficult as you think it is when you're doing these. So you have it laid out. You do your 2 pieces together. I like to cut from the outside going in. I like to, obviously you have to sew from the inside going out.
Well, and I have a design wall, and I'll put one on the design wall, and then if I lose track, I just look at it.
Yeah, and you can make, this is my pattern. So you can make as many copies and distribute it however you want. And mark it up, right? Tape your fabrics to it, however you want to do that.
That's what I was thinking. I was going to put my little fabric.
Question is, you cut 18 strips that, or 32 of the, is that going to make 32 blocks?
It will. Yep.
Do I want 32 blocks?
Well, it's up to you. It depends. It depends on the quilt that you want to make, right?
Okay.
So if you take,
Don't do so many folds, I guess. You don't cut so many.
this one, for example, this is 16.
Okay, so we're making, okay, I got you.
So this is 16. So 32 is
Okay,
twice the size of this.
okay.
So you're really gonna want, so like this one is 9 by 9, so that was 81. So it's a pineapple, which is very similar. So just because I have these, I'm still gonna go back and select more fabrics and make more blocks. So I think I will do this one. I really like this layout,
But are you gonna,
but I'll need more than 32 blocks to
okay,
do a
so
bed-size quilt.
Open it back up again, please.
If, what am I trying to say? What if you run out of your scrap colors?
Well, that's the awesome thing about log cabins.
That's why you're using scraps. You want to run out of it.
Yes, that is exactly
Whoever
why.
runs out of scraps.
So
I know, seriously.
But I mean, I'm questioning how they're gonna all be alike.
they don't have to be.
Isn't those?
These are. This one is.
But they don't have to.
They don't have to be. This was just leftover. We did a pre-cut log cabin kit here about a year ago out of these fabrics, and this was what was left over. So I sewed these together. But your log cabins can be really, this is just, the scrappier the better.
Okay.
The more fabrics you put in it, the better it's going to look.
Oh, Netflix.
Watch.
Yeah, what do we want to watch? So, did we cut this one? We didn't. I'm going to cut this, so I had 12 and a half, 11 and a half, this is 10 and a half.
So how many of the turquoise did you cut first? Was it 32?
32,
So that'll make 32 blocks.
right. And so, that fabric was a little whiter than this one, so I might not get that many out of this one. But I know I have more of it, for one. So half yard is 18 inches. So if you want to make all of your fabrics the same, if you want to make all of your blocks the same, you can get, on average, I would say anywhere from 28 to 30 strips from a width of fabric. So this one's probably more 28. It's kind of vintage. I think I used it in that quilt up there.
So is that like a half yard?
This is closer to a yard, I think. Yeah.
I didn't see the double fold.
Yeah. So this is closer to a yard. I think these are like a yard or less pieces. And
But if she's concerned about running out, just use that particular fabric at one of the smaller strips rather
Yes.
than a big strip.
right, because you're going to get down to, you only need a 1.5 inch strip. So if you've got a width of fabric that's 6 inches and you need, you know, or 7 inches or 10 inches, that's going to be plenty to get your little bitty pieces. So I would go home, cut some out, make the block, and then start laying them out and see if you like it. I mean, this is one of those, you can have this cut in a box and you finish a project, you feel like sewing, but you don't want to start something. You can go back to a log cabin all day long because it truly is mindless sewing because you're just sewing straight strips, right? And if your seam allowance is right and your presser foot pressure is right, you'll know which is the next piece because you're either going to be sewing on a light piece or a dark piece, and it will just fit. Yeah. So much easier than using the log cabin dye from AccuQuilt. If you wanted to do a 2-color log cabin, that would be perfect. But we live in a world
This
of
is the
color.
Bible.
This is it. So much fun. Does everybody get the concept?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about January.
Oh, I was trying to decide if I wanted to take.
This is going to be January's project. It's one that I designed. So it uses the 8-inch cube, angles. I don't think we use corners. So 8-inch cube and angles. And we'll do this over several months. I don't know how many yet, so I came up with this pattern this week, so this is all I have right now.
So you're still be selling the fabric.
Yeah, we will have kits for this, and that's what I need to know is who wants kits.
Is it gonna be those colors?
Yes. Yep, close to it. It'll be close. Really dark green on the outside. There was another color variation of it, but I took a poll and everybody liked this one best.
How big is it?
86 by 86. So this is like a
or some mineral solids.
depends on how many people want kits.
Okay.
So if it's not a lot, then I can probably find enough fabrics to get the kits for it. If we have 20 people, it will probably be solids.
So, will you let us know the yardages of each different color?
Yep, I'll have that for you next month.
Pretty. Because I'm probably going to do my own.
Diane, right?
Chili.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yep.
Yeah.
Carol, what's your last name?
Gammon, Gammon. I won't be here in January, but I could pick it up.
Yep, in February. Linda Hagen. Anybody else? Okay, it'll probably be pattern fabric then.
It'll probably be what?
A pattern fabric.
No,
How
so.
long do we have to make this decision to jump in?
Just shoot me an email.
Okay. I'm having a new grandbaby this
Oh,
coming Monday, so
congratulations.
so I just don't want to overachieve since I'm a beginner. They're laughing at me.
Well, this looks difficult. It's not.
Really difficult.
I haven't used them before.
It's really not.
8-inch cube and the angles.
Yes. I think that's all we need.
I know I have angles or corners, but I can't remember which one.
That's what you need. That's what you need for the